YouTube, what's up everyone? Welcome back to the show. XRP, it's about to go through something we've never seen before. Institutions, they are positioned like they already know what's coming. And after today's news, if you're not locked in XRP right now, folks, if you're not locked in, you might miss the breakout of the decade. Let's jump straight into the madness because this is the moment the entire XRP community has been waiting years for. And most people don't even realize what's about to happen. The CME market surveillance notice right there. Let me pull it up on your screen. It dropped on November 14th and it quietly confirmed everything. Next Monday, December 15th, write it down. The CME is opening up XRP spot quoted futures with full position accountability levels and larger trading reporting requirements. Let me make this crystal clear. The CME does not list a product unless big money demands it. This is the same sequence we saw in Bitcoin back in 2017. The same thing in Ethereum that went down in 2021. And right now, XRP is stepping onto that exact institutional runway. Spot quoted futures. That equals real price discovery. Reporting requirements. That equals large players already positioning. A formal notice equals regulatory alignment in motion. This is like hearing thunder seconds before the lightning actually hits. You understand that, right? And the best part, we're still early, but not for long, everyone. Real quick, if you're watching this and you do actually want to be positioned before this next breakout, message me about the one-on-one or hit the links down below. This might be your last call before the institutions flip that switch. If you're serious, hey, get in touch now because you won't get a second chance once the volume takes off. Now we're going to get over to this. No, not the ad, but to xrprightnow.com. Let's zoom out for a second. It's not normal what is going on. This isn't hype. It's not speculation. This is what a system shift looks like before the world wakes up. Now, let me make this very clear. You don't have to read the article. I'll summarize everything that's going on. We already got 4 spot ETFs live. Yeah, if you want to call it 5 because of Rex Osprey, which is a hybrid, go ahead. It doesn't matter. 4 or 5, it doesn't matter. And it matters about the volume, right? Who cares about the number? But those ETFs are pulling real XRP into custody every single day. Remember, ETFs don't buy hype. They buy supply. And when supply leaves the market, the pressure builds. But then CME walks in and they drop spot quoted XRP futures at the exact same time your spot ETFs are absorbing supply. Folks, this isn't random. This isn't a freaking coincidence. This is coordination. We tell you all the time. This is all coordinated. The kind you only see when your hedge funds, your liquidity desk, and your market makers are all gearing up for something big. This is the exact same institutional infrastructure that Bitcoin and Ethereum got before their biggest price expansions. ETF demand on one side, future demand on the other. Folks, this article, I suggest you go read it. It breaks down everything. And I'm going to be making a video talking all about this. Be on the lookout for it. It's massive. It's super, super bullish. And you're going to get a clear understanding of what's about to go down. Look, we're not early to a pump. We're early to an integration into the global financial plumbing. And when the system shifts, and it's going to shift, it shifts super fast. And if you think the institutional flood is stopping there, not a chance. Bitwise, they just uplisted their 10 crypto index fund. I was going to say ETF fund. Their 10 crypto index fund to the NYSE Arca as an ETF after being delayed by the one and only SEC. And look at the lineup in there. Bitcoin, ETH, Solana. What else we got in there? Polkadot, Avalanche, Sui, Litecoin. Folks, thing's a banger. Any shocker here that XRP made the cut? Of course not, man. Bitwise got their own XRP ETF, which is pulling in crazy numbers. Now, you don't get uplisted on the NYXC with XRP in your basket unless someone behind those doors believe that XRP is about to matter a lot more than it does today. This is the kind of mainstream validation that sneaks up quietly But when it hits, folks, it rewrites the narratives. And I told you before, if your favorite crypto, whatever it may be, right? My favorite's different from your favorite. If you have a spot ETF, you pick the winner. If you're in a basket or an index fund like this, you pick the winner. The assets you need to worry about are the ones that don't get added to these funds or do not get spot ETFs. Remember that. Then look at this HBAR, a little sidestep here, but I know a lot of HBAR holders out there. Canary Capital is turning into an absolute monster with their HBAR ETF. They just increased their holdings to 465 million HBAR. That's worth over $62 million. And that's almost 1% of your total supply. Think about the message that this sends, right? Institutions, they're not just betting on individual coins. They're loading up on networks that fix global settlement, that fix cross-border payments, that work on enterprise infrastructure. HBAR moving like this is another signal in the same direction as XRP. Legacy Finance is preparing for blockchain settlement rails, which gets us over to this, because when CNBC starts flipping bullish, you already know that momentum is shifting. Live on the air, and I'm going to play for you. They say, I bought more ETH last week and MicroStrategy's balance sheet is complicated. Bitmines is clean. This isn't casual conversation, everyone. This is conviction. Mainstream media never gets this bullish early. Listen up.
I think MicroStrategy has a complicated balance sheet, and so I've never owned it. I think BMNR, from a Ethereum treasury, they have a clean balance sheet. Obviously, they're issuing shares, preferreds, or converts, and so I think that this is an opportunity. I bought more Ethereum last week. I just think, especially with Ethereum, which is down quite a bit off its highs, this is when you add to these positions, right? You're supposed to buy low, sell high, but most people feel comfortable buying crypto at the all-time highs, not when there's actually an event occurring. Whether MSCI fleshes out, I have no idea.
You're telling people to buy strategy?
No, Ethereum. I was like, I don't understand. MicroStrategy's balance sheet is way too complicated for me to parse through. I've decided to play it with Ethereum and IBET.
Okay, I didn't go to you on it because I didn't know what else there is to say on it.
No, I mean, what else is there to say? Let me give you something else. There's 15 buys on the stock. There's 3 holds. There's 1 sell. The 12-month price target for this stock that trades 182 right now is $473. That's ridiculous.
I mean, she said what we've been saying all along, right? You buy low, you sell high. And she made a very valid point. She said, look, retail's not afraid to buy high, but for some reason they're afraid to buy low. When there's blood in the streets, it's time to accumulate, right? When you get the media like this, when you get ETFs, when you get future markets and institutional flows all starting to line up, everyone, you don't ignore that. You prepare for what's coming next. And now let's get into the report that blew the doors off of everything. I don't know if you've seen this yet, but DAS Research, they just confirmed the direction XRP is headed. And it's not crypto, it's infrastructure. They laid it out pretty clearly. Within this report, it states XRP structural advantages and goes over its fast settlement, its low cost. It's a neutral bridge asset, global ledger distribution, and institution-grade reliability. This is exactly what enterprises need. Make no mistake about it. They don't need speculation. They don't need meme coins. They need real settlement rails. And then they get down here, where they start talking about stable coins are a complementary upgrade. Yes, indeed. Instead of competing with stable coins, well, Ripple's integrating them. RLUSD becomes the fiat anchor. XRP becomes the liquidity engine. And that's how you get a full-scale payment ecosystem built out right in front of your very eyes, which moves us down here. Catalysts are already here. RippleNet's expanding, RLUSD corridors are opening, institutional custody, it is maturing, and your ETF structures are entering the conversation. You want to know the only missing piece? Direct bank level on-chain usage. And Ripple Prime, RLUSD, ZK identity layers, and global banking licenses, they're already designed to unlock exactly that. DAS basically said that we've all been thinking in XRP, it's not competing with tokens, it's competing with Swift. And the system is finally starting to shift, which gets us over to good old Cathie Woods. Because if this isn't the most bullish statement you heard all year, I just don't know what it is. Maybe you got another statement that's even more bullish than this. Drop it in my comments. Let me see it. She said Bitcoin's 4-year cycle it's gonna be disrupted.
Bitcoin is behaving more like a risk-on asset. It has played the risk-off role at different times during the European sovereign debt crisis, during our regional bank crisis. But right now, it's risk-on. It is climbing another wall of worry, and that is the 4-year cycle. We think the 4-year cycle is going to be disrupted. What I mean by that is Bitcoin regularly dropped 75 to 90% in its early days. The volatility is going down. It's down about 30 some odd percent. And I think there's a fear of the 4-year cycle. We think that the move by institutions into this new asset class is going to prevent much more of a decline. We may have seen the low a couple of weeks ago.
You know, and I spoke about that before. Let's pause this. I spoke about that. We're getting large money coming into these assets from these institutions. Your 4-year cycle is going away, and everything's going to happen under Trump. So even if we do see, you know, a couple of down months, we're going to pop back up. And she's made a great point. Everyone is afraid of the 4-year cycle. This is huge because it means institutions expect flows to break the old patterns. That only happens when a market is maturing into a macro asset class. If Bitcoin breaks its cycle, every other institutional grade asset like XRP, it will follow. New rules, new flows, new volatility, and new upside, which gets us over to this, your macro cherry on top. I don't know what that was. I was going to drop a cherry, but I guess I threw it at all y'all. The White House economic advisor, Kevin Hassett, he just said there is plenty of room for interest rate cuts. This is exactly what risk assets like crypto need to ignite a full-scale run. Lower rates equals cheaper leverage equals more liquidity, which brings in more inflows. The timing's incredible. ETFs launching, futures unlocking, institutions accumulating, right? Macros easing, everything is lining up at once, folks. So let's recap. We got CME futures activating, ETFs are accumulating real supply, Bitwise uplisting a index fund with XRP exposure, HBAR and ETH seeing institutional momentum, DAS research confirming XRP's role as global infrastructure, Bitcoin cycle breaking, and the White House is warming up the liquidity engines. This isn't random. This is definitely not hype. This is the setup, the kind you only see once a cycle. And if you're here right now, hey, you're early. And when this breakout hits, you'll be glad you didn't sleep on those signals. Stay ready, stay positioned, because this next move, hey, it's going to be violent, and you're standing right in front of it. As always, hit that thumbs up for me on the way out, and I'll see all y'all